let's set up a system that is in this size and variety is the first one in Europe.
People realized what kind of benefit they had from these trees, and now starting to regrow the trees in agricultural land.
Okay, Julius, I'll come from this side.
Wow, you're a real chicken mover.
I'm getting into this. Neil here, and as you just heard there, today I'll be taking you to a very diverse and special farm here in Germany. So it's all about agroforestry. But first, what is agroforestry? Well, basically, agroforestry means that trees are managed together with crops and or farm animals. So depending on the system, you can harvest a broad range of products, including timber. Now, normally farmers with huge monoculture plantations, they don't like trees on their land because they can obstruct the harvesting machines and make their jobs a lot harder, of course. But in times of climate crisis, some farmers are returning to this rather old system of integrating trees into farming again. There are both environmental and agricultural benefits to this, but there are of course also obstacles and downsides, something which I will be discussing briefly with an expert before I head out to meet a young German farmer who is transforming his family farm into one of Europe's most ambitious agroforestry projects. But first, to get the bigger picture on agroforestry, I contacted Sonja Kay. She is an international agroforestry expert at Agroscope, the Swiss Federal Research Department of Agriculture. And I started by asking her to describe the environmental benefits of agroforestry.
So if you have agroforestry, you grow trees or woody elements. They capture carbon. That means if we are looking at climate change, we have on the one hand the climate adaptation and on the other hand the climate mitigation. And if you capture carbon, you are on the side of climate mitigation, no? So you reduce the amount of carbon in the air. But on the other hand, you have the climate adaptation, meaning that you have to be more aware that the temperature will rise and we have more rain, or maybe not even more rain, but different pattern of rain during the year. Mm-hmm. And if we have trees on the field, they create a microclimate on this kind of field where they can store more water in the systems. But on the other hand, if it's really dry, the soil has this water and the sun is not getting to the soil directly, but it's covered by the trees. And therefore, you have more water in the system over the year. And on the other hand, you reduce the amount of wind in the field, which means that the crops which are grown in the field don't need so much water because the wind is not taking the water away.
And I mean, do you have any figures on just how much CO2 one could save, compared to conventional farming? If you sort of switched, I don't know, a hectare of conventional farming to agroforestry, for instance, are there any stats on that?
Yes, there are. So we measured some systems we have here in Switzerland since 10 years, and then you see how much the trees can grow, and then we can model the last years to think about how much carbon we can store. Normally we say we can store around 2 tons CO2 per tree in 50, 60 years.
Okay, so I mean, we're in the subject matter now. If we look at agroforestry, the benefits, right? If I'm a farmer now, why should I be looking into this?
So if you're a farmer and you think about your future, and that's what all the younger farmers are doing right now, then they think about all the problems they might come. No, they think about climate change, floods or erosion and all these things. And on the other hand, they want to produce something. And then we have this kind of monocropping systems, and then you rely only on one product. But if you are aware that the market is quite volatile in this kind of arable or livestock farming, it would be a good idea to diversify your production. And then, agroforestry is one idea to do that.
And I mean, just how efficient is this? Because, I mean, as you just said, at the moment we have more like a monoculture system, right? So just harvesting one crop and it's all about yield. But I mean, does this combination of forestry and agriculture then lead to smaller yields, in both areas regarding, less timber, less food?
Are you a farmer? Because those are the questions farmers are asking us. And to be totally honest with the farmers, in the beginning you have less yield because in the area where you grow trees, you will not harvest some crops. But on the longer run, and that's why younger farmers are interested in it, they can harvest more things, and then they can diversify, and then they have like 2 crops on the same field. So in the end, they have a higher yield. It's like an intensification of the area, if you want to name it like that.
Okay, let's just leave Sonja there for now. We'll be hearing more from her later, but now it's time for you to join me in the field with Julius Nennewitz. He runs a small organic farm of around 30 hectares that he's transforming into a rather unique agroforestry project. It's called Biolandhof Werragut, and it's just east of Kassel in central Germany. And just that you get the picture, it's a really very beautiful rural German setting. The farm is in a valley with a small river, and it's surrounded by rolling hills that are covered by lush mixed forests. So quite a stunning view. And I met Julius there on a rather hot and windy day for a tour of his project. And as always with On the Green Fence, I also got a bit of his personal story at the same time. Here he comes. Julius, hi. How you doing?
So,
This is your tractor, is it?
yes.
How long have you?
Nice one, right?
It's very nice. It looks like it's been around for a while, though, right?
Yes, he's older than me, but he serves pretty well.
How old are you, Julius?
Well, 28.
Julius, perhaps before we just start, this farm here, it's a family-run farm, right? You took it over from your mother, right?
Well, we're still in process, and I'm just one of the next generation. We're planning to do it more like a community farm. My mom set it up with chickens and social agriculture and organic, and I'm taking over in the first place and then transform it into a community farm.
Right. Okay. Wonderful. Shall we get cracking?
Sure.
Let's go. It's like a jungle here. The grass is so high.
Yes, actually, next week I think we're starting haying.
Okay, so I'm just looking here now. I'm standing here. It's almost like, I don't know, it's like an alley of trees that you've planted in one line, and it's about maybe 20 meters apart is another line of trees, and in between these trees that are being planted, it's about maybe 3 to 5 meters. But these are all different, right? So this one's different to this one. The neighbors, it's always different.
Yeah. So we did it like this. Right here we have a chestnut, a Spanish breed, and it wants to grow very high and build a huge crown. Mm-hmm. And right next to it we have a mulberry.
Oh, let's look at this one. Okay.
And the mulberry tends to be more kind of a bushy growing tree.
Right.
So we have a high one right here and a bit lower one right here.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And the next one is a high one again.
Okay.
Yeah, right here I'm cutting the grass around our trees, because grass is a real competitor when it comes to taking water.
And this tree is, what kind of tree is this, Julius?
Well, this is an apple tree.
Okay. And how many apple trees have you got here?
21.
21?
Yeah.
Okay. And can you just take me through, what are the other trees that you've got here, if you put numbers to them?
90 figs, 130 chestnuts, 60 walnuts, 80 hazelnuts, 150 mulberries, another 40 cornel cherries. Yeah, a lot of
different trees. Yeah, very nice. I mean, with your concept, will you also be harvesting the timber? I mean, what sort of concept have you gone for with this?
Well, this is a system mainly for the fruits and the nuts, because we think our future way of feeding ourselves is throughout plants, not throughout animals.
If I was to try to picture this, how this would look like in 20, 30 years, there'd be like alleys of trees at different heights.
Yeah.
Giving shade?
Mm-hmm. Giving shade to the annual crops that we plant.
And those crops would be?
Those crops would be barley, buckwheat, and we have hemp as well. And of course food for the chickens, so peas, corn, sunflower. We try to set up the farm mostly independent of things that we need to buy from outside.
Right. And I mean, all these products, I mean, this is a scale, right? You will be selling these products as well, right? This is not just for you or for your community.
No.
You'll be selling.
It's way too much. Yeah.
So, I mean, because it sounds like you've got such a huge variety. I mean, what are your plans there? How are you going to bring these products to market? I mean, some products I think probably perhaps some Germans haven't even heard about yet, right?
Yeah, that's right. Our idea is to do kind of like a muesli barn, and to do
a muesli barn. I like that. I like that. That's or a bar.
A bar.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
a bar.
Well, you could also build a muesli barn and sell it in the barn.
Yeah. A muesli bar and own muesli as well, and like jellies, juices, and dry fruits as well. Mm-hmm. My personal thing would be a bakery. So you take, for example, the figs and the walnuts, and you put it into a nice bread. I love the imagination of it, to slice a piece of bread and put butter on there and just taste the walnuts and the figs. It's kind of paradise. And I mean, you have it all in your own backyard, right? Yeah. So you're independent of anything that comes out of China or India or Africa or somehow. It's all right here, and it's all possible. Yeah.
I mean, this is a family farm that you've taken over.
Yeah.
Can you remember that day when you sort of, hit on the table and said, right, I'm changing this now. I'm doing this agroforestry system now.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm more kind of a growing idea person. So something like this comes step by step. Mm-hmm. So I started my apprenticeship in agriculture on a conventional farm. That was interesting. I learned a lot, but I somehow figured, well, there are many questions unanswered. So
such as?
Well, how are we going to deal with our future? So how is this way of conventional agriculture capable of the changings that are coming in the next decades? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there were no answers. So yeah, I went on and I kind of quit this apprenticeship, and I went to South and North America. Been there almost 2 years, and I traveled around, worked a lot on different types of farms. I've seen so many people and so many farmers that are doing their work good, but a lot of them were kind of desperate. Yeah, one guy in Canada, he told me he planted canola for the 3 or 4th time in a row. And he was like, it's such a hassle to get it done properly. There are so many diseases in there, and I don't know why. And I was like, wow, you must be kidding. Like, canola in this high density year after year, I mean, it's common sense that you shouldn't do it. Mm-hmm. And he does it, and he complained about it, and I was like, wow, this won't work. This is not the future that will work.
The monoculture, the intensive agriculture.
Yeah. And the agriculture that is dependent on fossil inputs, mm-hmm. like the fertilizers and all the pesticides and stuff. So yeah, well, I went on with my travel. I came back and I started studying agriculture, and it was pretty much the same thing. We got to know how everything works, but we didn't get to know solutions.
Right.
And that was the point where where friends and me, we started to think about, well, what kind of future we need, and what kind of future can this farm have? Right. And we thought, well, let's set up a system that is in this size and variety is the first one in Europe. So yeah, we took the land of my mom, and we said, well, let's plant 1,300 plants here and do it completely different as it is known on the different fields, on the other fields down here.
That's the farmhouse over there, right? It's the one with all the solar panels. So you're already integrating renewables into everything you're doing. Yeah. What about the water? Because the groundwater levels, they're not particularly great at the moment in Germany, are they?
No, they're kind of filling up again, but it takes a long time. And well, down here we have the river. It's called Werra, and well, it has water pretty much all over the years, but the level rises and falls again. So far we have enough water. Even rain, we have about 720 millimeters of rainfall per year. So for our crops it's kind of perfect so far if we do not have a drought. But for our tree lines we need to set up irrigation system, because especially in the first years when the trees and bushes are not rooted, they just need time to set up roots. Therefore we need to irrigate them a bit so we reduce our losses of losing plants.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're looking at
This is buckwheat.
buckwheat. Okay,
Yeah.
and the soil, it's got a red tinge, hasn't it? Is that typical for the local soil? It's sort of a bit reddish.
Well, for up here, yeah. Down there we have like soil that is sedimented by the river, and up here it's more of a sandy soil that kind of grew out of the stones we have here.
This is, I mean, is this good soil if you were to compare it to other soils? Are you in a good spot here?
Well, down there we have really nice soils. I mean,
That's where all the conventional farmers are, is it?
well, we have fields down there as well.
Oh, okay.
But to set up an agroforest system on soils that are perfect for common agriculture, it's way too easy. So we said, well, let's do it up here where the soil isn't as great to really show what good impact agroforest system has on the soil. So up here we have about 30 to 60 soil points.
Soil points.
Yeah, we kind of have a German system for different kinds of soils. So
60 out of 100 you've got.
yeah,
Ah, okay.
yeah. And down there, next to the river, we have about 95.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And do you see those soil points increasing once the trees have taken here?
yeah,
So
definitely.
what have you got a target?
No, I can't say, but because I mean we can fix carbon in the soil, but each soil has its optimum, so we can't go above 10% of organic matter in the soil. It's different to the soil we have down there, so it will get better, much better, and the plants will be much more healthier and more resistant to like the extreme weathers we're gonna have. But there's a limit. Yeah,
So you're anticipating climate change and hoping that these trees will take with the soil.
yeah.
Are you worried? Is this a gamble you're taking, or is this a no-brainer? Is this going to work?
Yeah, it's kind of a gamble, but we all believe in that this is part of the future. This is one of the ways that really help us to get along with this changing planet. And well, at the beginning of this project, we thought about how to finance it, and we went to banks and we showed them our plans, and they said, "Well, first, we don't know what it is, and second,
They didn't know what agroforestry is.
no, we needed to explain everything. I mean, it's pretty much out of the common sense of agriculture, right? If we have a look down there, we have all plain fields. We have corn, we have wheat, we have barley, we have canola. So they are used to this kind of stuff. And we came there and said, well, we have a huge area and we want to plant trees. And they said, well, and why do you want to do that? That doesn't make sense. Because everyone else, they are taking out the trees of their farmland to, have bigger tractors, to be more efficient and that stuff. So we wanted to go the different way and said, well, we need about 123,000 euros for the first 3 years. And they said, well, and when do you have the first, payback?
The yields, the returns, and the banks, of
Yeah,
course, are
and we
interested in
said,
that.
Well, probably around year 10. And they were like, wow, sorry, but we can't do that. Yeah, and that's a problem.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And because we couldn't get the money out of a bank, we said, well, let's do it differently. We want to do it, and we're going to do it somehow. So we set up an association, And we started the crowdfunding.
Right.
Yeah, and throughout this crowdfunding, we funded about 70,000 euros to set up the system, to set up the fence, to buy all the plants, to buy all the additional stuff we needed for the planting.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we are right now.
Okay. And you went to several banks, it wasn't just the one,
Yeah.
And they were all on the same page.
Yeah.
This being an organic farm, organic products are already more expensive than conventional products to buy, right? You pay a premium for the quality. I assume also these kind of products grown in agroforestry, again, there'd be another premium. Will it be more expensive again than if you got, the conventional products?
Well, to talk about the price is kind of, it's a big issue. Because if you go into the market and you buy a khaki that was imported from China, well, it has a price, but it doesn't have the real price that it costs for the environment to grow this plant and to ship it or fly it all over to Europe. So, our goal is to produce good, healthy, organic fruits and vegetables that people are able to buy, of course. But we need to live as well. So we kind of need to figure out a price that is real and that shows what goes all into this product. Because nowadays, especially in Germany, food is way too cheap. This is something I don't get, because food is the first thing that you put into yourself. This is the first thing you do good for yourself or you're doing bad for yourself. And I don't get it that it's more important to people to have a iPhone or something that represents their wealthiness, or I don't know, than to have good food in their fridges.
No, I understand that completely. It's something we've come across a lot also, doing this podcast and in the series, because it is something's going to have to change, and the mindset, changing that mindset, it's probably, again, like your project, it's something that you have to do in the long term. It doesn't happen overnight. Yeah. I mean, how worried are you that, given the developments, that the products that you're generating here, you won't be able to sell at that price? I mean, a price that, allows you to carry on.
Yeah, that's a good question. And actually right now we're suffering under the people are buying less eggs from us, because these are like expensive eggs. It's organic, it's free range hens, it's the best you could probably do. But the people are really worried. They are worried to pay their bills at the end of the month, and so the first thing is they buy less expensive food.
Come on, you chickens, get back inside. Okay, Julius, I'll come from this side. In you go, in you go. We got him.
Wow, you're a real chicken mover.
I'm getting into this. How many have you got here, Julius? How many chickens?
230 per mobile. Mm-hmm. And right here we have the nest. It opens up at 3 in the morning, and the light goes on, and then the food chain rattles, and the chicks get active and lay their eggs, have a drink on this line.
Right.
And then at 8 in the morning, like the doors open up and they can go out into the green pasture. Okay. Roam around.
I mean, this is a big chicken pen. You to move this, you use the tractor then, right, to move this around. Yeah. It's quite large.
Yeah, it weighs about 5 tons.
I mean, how did these chickens tie in with the agroforestry system you've got here? What role do they play?
Well, chickens, they love trees and bushes because they can hide underneath. The tree lines are perfect for them to roam around and feel safe of the birds of prey.
Yeah, I saw quite a few of those actually on my way here. Several.
Yes.
I saw more birds of prey today than I think I've done all year round.
Yeah. I mean, have a look around. It's all forest, and they love to be around here. And, the chickens, they work the soil. They shit, they eat. They're kind of a cultivator of the spaces in between. where we do want them to remove stuff and to be active, and all the fruits that we won't harvest and that are falling down onto the ground, they will eat them. So we do not have waste.
No waste, yeah.
in a sense.
Just out of interest, Julius, I mean, have you got time for hobbies? Is there something? I mean, how does your day end?
Yeah, this is something we try to figure out in the transformation process of my mother to me, because right now it's too much work, and I need to quit my band and stuff.
You've got a band?
Yeah, well, I had.
What were you in the band?
I was the bass player. Yeah.
We need to get a track of that in the podcast.
Yeah, please.
What's your band called?
We want to be in the charts. Well, we were kind of don't have a name.
Okay.
But we had a couple of concerts, and we were just introduced as we like Tim and Lenny and Julius.
You were just called the band.
Yeah, the best ones. Yeah, the ones who are doing the noisiest stuff you can imagine.
Isn't it the Lord, it's das Dankbell? Isn't it the Lord, it's das Dankbell? Isn't it the Lord? Isn't it the Lord?
Well, I guess there must be some scientific branch to see whether, how plants react to music. I think, if you could have some open air concerts here, maybe it'll make them grow faster.
Actually, they are cows do like music in the barns. So yeah, if you set up a radio and let it play all day long, they really like it.
Julius, honestly now, just how work intensive is this? I mean, farming in itself is already backbreaking, right?
Yeah.
But you're adding to the burden, aren't you? A little bit. You're making your life harder, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of work. Yeah, sure. And sometimes it's so unfair, because we're doing so much and we're doing such a great work for our environment, but at the end of the day, the guys that are doing it like all the others do, like common agriculture, they are doing money, right? Mm-hmm. And we are just working. And
all this, I mean, I'm looking here, the weeds, this is stuff you have to do by hand, right? You get rid of the weeds by hand, so that's also very labour intensive, right?
Yes, it is.
What kind of machinery have you got here? That you, what sort of machines do you operate?
We have the usual tractors and combine harvesters and mowers and swathers. Well, all the stuff you need to do like the common agriculture. But for this agroforest system, we are having a cooperation with different startups. They are building a tractor that is just electrically driven and has a lot of options to adjust tools to manage this kind of systems, because with huge tractors you can't do anything here, right? So you need something really small and adjustable and flexible for the lines. So yeah.
And you've got your name down to get one of those tractors when they're ready?
Yeah, to try them out, if they work, or what to do better and what not. Yeah.
You excited about that?
Yeah, sure.
When's that happening?
Hopefully in September. Yeah, because so far we did it all by hand, and it took a whole day, 2 persons, a whole day to do like 500 meter, 300 meter of that line. Yeah, and that's quite a bit. Yeah, but this is kind of the price you pay, right? So for me, it's kind of the duty of of my generation to understand what's going on and to see what kind of options we have and how to make it not worse, but to make it better.
Okay, so I really was very impressed with Julius and his agroforestry project, and I really do hope that everything works out for him. And who knows, maybe his concept will catch on in the region. But just how likely is it that sustainable agroforestry systems will spread and replace the quite dominant monocultures? Where is the trend going in this context? And to answer that question, I thought it's time now to bring back Sonja, the Swiss-based agroforestry expert. This agroforestry model, as I understand it, I mean, it is a global phenomenon, right? I found a stat here saying that it's like around 1 billion hectares of land worldwide are used for this. I was looking at EU figures, and it said in the EU it was around 15 million, and the EU uses about 175 million hectares of land for farming. So it's still a fraction, right? But how is this developing? Is there a trend towards more agroforestry? Is it growing?
So we have this kind of traditional agroforestry systems. So in former years, we had a lot of agroforestry, this kind of combination where we had trees in the fields nearly everywhere, also here in Germany. And but then over the years, they reduced the trees in the field. And then we had more like a decline of agroforestry systems in Europe. But right now we are like we are in a change again, no? Because people realized what kind of benefit they had from these trees, and now starting to regrow the trees in agricultural land.
So you do see a growth trend or more people switching in future?
I hope so. Okay. So I see it on a smaller scale. Mm-hmm. So if farmers get money for planting trees, they are really willing to do that. Mm-hmm. That's always the first thing. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, they also realize that they have some problems with climate change. So I have a friend of mine, they are a cattle farmer. Mm-hmm. And they were discussing it a lot. So they were also telling me, come on, we will not plant trees in our fields. They are like an obstacle in the middle of the field. Mm-hmm. But after a while, they realized that the grass is not growing so well during drought times, mm-hmm. And that the animals don't want to go out anymore. So there's no shade. Right. So they will stay in the stable. And then after 2 years or 3 years of this kind of hot weather in the summer, they realized that they have to change something, and they planted trees. So it's more like a combination of different things. So on the one hand, it's about climate change, but on the other hand, it's about having your farming in the same way as you had it before. And therefore, you might think of new ideas.
If we look at just the trajectory, Sonja, for the future, I mean, we've got a growing world population. We're going to need more food. I mean, how realistic is it, us switching to these systems, given if you look at the trade-offs between food security and also climate change?
That we can feed the world with agroforestry.
Yeah. Because that's also one of the accusations often leveled at organic farming, isn't it? That it produces less yields, and that we'd end up starving if we switched completely from conventional farming. That we need these monocultures and conventional farming to a certain degree.
Yeah, no. To answer that, I think we don't need this kind of monocropping systems to feed the people. But I think it's not possible right now. No, so we have to be aware that it's not only about which kind of cropping systems we are using, but also about how we are selling the products, how we are using them. So meaning like that you have the whole food chain, and you have to be aware what you are doing there. And if we are optimizing this one, I think it would be possible to feed I don't know if I would say if I would feed the world, but I think it could be a good part of it could be agroforestry, because you are not losing so much production. No? It's not about producing less with agroforestry. It's about producing more, but different types of products. Mm. And I think if you are looking at the food we will need in the future, it's even better to have more nuts in it, for example, or if we have berries and we have fruits in it as well. Mm-hmm. So maybe you can say you might get a healthier diet with agroforestry as if you only look at monocultures.
Mm-hmm. Sonja, thank you very much for your time and joining me here with On the Green Fence. Do appreciate your expertise and input.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, so basically what I'm taking away from this is that agroforestry systems can help us mitigate climate change because the trees store carbon and also improve the properties of the soil. They can also make our systems more resilient because they are diversified. This also means more diversity in terms of the products that can be harvested and consumed. And yeah, we're not putting all our eggs in one basket, so to speak. They are, however, more labour-intensive, but passionate and environmentally minded farmers like Julius, who want to make the world better, not worse, are prepared to put in the extra mile. But yeah, they can't do this without the money. And as we heard from Julius, the banks did not help him because the trees on his farm will take decades to grow and generate profitable yields, something that the banks apparently are not prepared to wait for, and which is why he had to rely on crowdfunding to get things off the ground. So projects can be realised if people come together, but at the same time it may also make sense to rethink banking and what the main goals of banking should be in times of climate crisis. Anyway, that's my 2 cents for now. Please do let us know what you think. Just drop us an email to onthegreenfence@dw.com. In the next episode, I'll be going on a historic forest hike with an environmental anthropologist to find out how our relationship with the forest has changed, all the way from Roman times to today. So yeah, that should be interesting. Please do join me for that. That's it. Many thanks to my colleague and producer Natalie Muller and my sound engineer Gerd Georgi. And a big thanks to you for listening and sharing on The Green Fence. My name is Neil King. Take it easy and take care.